Good evening, and welcome back to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd see a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theaters and talk about it and our feelings in our life right after the movie from the parking lot. I am Todd Domer.
And I am Matt Malloy. And yes, welcome to this episode. This episode we'll be talking about a movie called Knives Out.
Shing shing, Knives Out.
Knives Out. This movie is, I would say, a cross between Clue, Murder, She Wrote, and Matlock.
Murder, She Wrote is in the movie for like 2 seconds, so.
Correct.
Oh,
In
Angela.
Spanish.
Oh, Angela. In Spanish.
So yeah, there is a crime that takes place in this mansion, and the family is all around, and everyone is a suspect. And Daniel Craig plays a hotshot private eye sleuth who investigates along with his local police buddies the crime at hand. And they figure out what happened. And at the end, there's a big reveal where you find out what really happened through this series of events where the owner of the mansion ends up dead. So that's how I'll set it up. What did you think, Todd?
Yeah, I thought this was like a fine, fair movie. Like, I like kind of whodunits and trying to piece together mystery movies and stuff like that. So as far as like that aspect of this type of movie, I enjoyed it. It's a little bit different than most whodunit movies because this movie gives you a ton of information on the front end. As far as like, it's not like they keep you in the dark about a lot. It's like you as the audience are clued into a ton more than the characters in the movie. And so that's an interesting thing to do, I think. Like, whereas typically murder mysteries are like, you got the murder, you have some suspects who maybe have a motive, and then like, from there you're off to the races, try to piece it together, the movie unfolds and stuff like that. This one is, without any spoilers, you're just given a lot of information up front. And then from then, it's kind of like story unfolds and different stuff happens and stuff like that. So as far as like a mystery movie like that, I thought that was an interesting take on a classic whodunit, giving us so much information. I thought it was really well acted. I mean, for a movie like this, it's not like you're turning in like performances that are going to remember to the ages, but everyone does extremely well. It's a pretty star-studded cast. You have Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson. That's as far as I know as famous people. Then there's some other people in the movie.
Well, Christopher Plummer's in it.
Christopher Plummer, yes. Old man Christopher Plummer. So, yeah, as far as story goes, it could have just been a classic whodunit, and I think they did a little kind of a twist on it, so that's kind of a plus mark for them. Acting's really well, and yeah, I only have like a little bit of like, I mean, I can't go into like some of the things that I've talked about of like what I questioned and stuff like that because it's so entrenched in the movie, but I only had like a little hiccup or two, but I don't find movies like this to be like so incredible, like that I'm going to be talking about it forever, but this was serviceable and fine, and certainly a good time at the movies to go and enjoy it. So yeah, that's probably the shortest review that I've given in a long time. So yeah, I mean, it's just a straightforward movie. Like, it doesn't turn you on your head or anything like that. It's, it falls in the line of you've seen one, you kind of seen them all. But if you like this kind of genre movie, it does a really good job. So, Matt,
all right,
what did you think of it?
Well, So this is actually the second time that I've seen it, which was interesting.
Dun dun dun.
I saw it first with my wife, and so there was a couple of things that I picked up on this time as I was kind of trying to watch things unfold that I didn't notice the first time, but nothing major. I agree. This is sort of, there's a little bit of twisting and turning on the sort of the formula of what you're doing here with the whodunit, but very pretty straightforward as far as the plot unfolds. One really distracting thing for me was Daniel Craig doing a southern accent.
Southern accent.
I didn't think it was very well done on his part, and I just wanted to laugh every time he talked. Really, however, I did like the movie both times that I saw it, and I guess one criticism that I would have is I thought that the wrap up was a little bit complex. There, I can't obviously go into what that is, but there's some complicated stuff that happened, and you sort of have to follow along really closely to what has happened and what has been said about the actual time that the death of the victim happens in the movie to follow it. The second time through, I followed it a little better, but I thought, the first time through, you're seeing a movie, you may have some trouble and say, what? Wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And the only other thing that I'll say from a negative standpoint is that in a movie like this, I kind of want to be able to figure it out kind of along with the detectives who are going through things.
Sure.
There's no way you can do that in this movie.
Yeah, the reveal is like you couldn't have gotten there on your own.
Right.
Yeah.
The reveal involves a lot of exposition by the private eye Daniel Craig character in his thick accent.
Langhorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Explaining what actually has happened, and once you hear it, you're like, well, I couldn't have figured that out because I'm lacking critical information until you said it.
It's also a little confusing how he got there.
Yes.
Like, all of a sudden he's got it, and you're like, how'd you get there?
Yeah.
How'd you connect these?
I think part of it is he's a brilliant private detective, and so
I'm smart too, man.
He
all
picked
right?
up
I can
everything.
put things together too.
That's true, but you're not a world famous detective, Todd, as far as I know.
Not yet.
Right. It's coming maybe in your future. So yeah, so overall, I enjoyed. There's a couple things to nitpick, as I mentioned, but I thought it was decent.
Sure.
So,
good job. How many murder victims would you give?
How many murder victims? There was only one murder victim in this movie. I am going to say I would have given it a 3.5, except for Daniel Craig's accent. That's going to knock it down to a 3.
Oh, a whole 0.5 off for Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
They say it in the movie, and then I just made the joke, but I'm convinced they were like, they went to Daniel Craig and they're like, we want you to do a southern accent, and he was like, can you explain it to me? they were like, oh, watch this cartoon with Longhorn Langhorn. That's what we want you to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty fair. I mean, I'm in that region. Like, I'll say probably like a 3.3 or something like that. Like, there's a plot device in this movie that is not a spoiler. I debated whether or not I was going to say it, but I'm going to say it now. Is that there's a character in this movie that when they tell a lie, they throw up. And I absolutely hated that.
Yeah.
I thought it was an absolutely stupid thing to put in the movie. It seems stupid to me. They rely on it so heavily at times. It just was like, every time it's brought up, I'm like, that's so stupid. But that seems pretty typical for Rian Johnson, the director, who directed The Last Jedi, who likes to kind of mess with the formula, the status quo, but then also likes to do things that he finds are cheeky and fun that might just be a little annoying. So yeah, I'm at like a 3.3, I think. 3.3 slain victims, murder victims.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed Knives Out.
Knives Out! Shing shing!
And please join us again for our next episode. You can find it anywhere podcasts are found, as you probably already have done. We'll see you next time.
Da 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 da.